Hello, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. So we are still in Pride Month, and since I needed a fourth video, and I had no other ideas, and I've seen some confusion in the comments, I decided I would make this video just to kind of clarify some things and talk about my gay journey, my journey to figuring out my sexuality and gender. I've never really done a video talking in depth about me at all, so this is gonna be interesting. Make sure to like if you enjoy it though. Maybe I'll do some more stuff like this. And on with the video. By the way, in the background you'll be seeing me doing an artwork. I'm not gonna talk about it at all for once, but there is an artwork there for your visual pleasure. So, I guess we'll just start with the fact that I am AFAB, which, if you don't know, means assigned female at birth. If my voice didn't make that obvious enough. When I was a young kid, I was actually pretty girly, but once late elementary school started, I was much more androgynous, I guess. I really didn't like being seen as girly. In fact, I didn't let anyone call me a girl. I would be so adamant about the label tomboy, and I would always during recess play with the boys. I never really liked any guys. I would say I had crushes on certain people here and there, but I didn't really actually have an interest in them. I just chose them because I felt like I needed drama and a love life as a 10-year-old. I don't know. That something always felt wrong in my head about dating a guy. I didn't know what it was, but I just really didn't want to be a guy's girlfriend. On the other hand, all the friends I had that were girls, I was starting to get butterflies around them, thinking about them in different ways. I still said I was straight though. I was taking this "are you gay or straight" test with my sibling, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm straight. I'm gonna choose all the answers that are for straight people because I'm super straight for sure. But eventually my best friend in 5th grade confessed her feelings for me. And at this point, I knew I wasn't straight. I was just pretending I didn't know, I guess. Denial, that's the word. I was in denial. But at that point I was like, screw it, I know I'm not straight. And so then I started identifying as bisexual. That relationship had gone nowhere, but that's how I first identified as bi. And besides some online friends and a few people that I knew in person, and then my siblings, I didn't really tell anyone, and I tried to keep it a secret as much as possible. But at the same time as that was going on, there were some other developments in elementary school, like puberty, which I really was hating a lot. And I'm not gonna get too into it because this is one of the subjects that's kind of dark, and I want this to be a more lighthearted video and not get demonetized and not have to put trigger warnings or censorships. So we're not gonna talk about that. And instead we're going to talk about funny things. There's this game. Someone would take a rubber band and they would I'll try and put a video here or some sort of visual if I can. Okay, at first I tried to just verbally explain that, but it's really hard. So, you take a rubber band. This isn't a rubber band, but I'm trying. And since it's not a rubber band, it's going to be very hard to do this, but you take all your fingers, no thumbs, and then you kind of interlock them like this. Then, if I can do this without squeezing my fingers to death, you're going to, ooh, God, oh God. I'm suffocating my pinky fingers, but it's fine. Okay, so you're gonna stretch them out like this. And then you're going to select fingers to remove. So I'm gonna move this finger so that my pinkies can breathe. Okay, there, great. And then I'm going to remove this finger. And then I'm gonna remove this one. And then we end up with this shape. This shape with the 3 holes means that you're a masculine person. Because obviously it looks like a skateboard that's missing 2 wheels. Now let's see if I can get the other result. That means you're a feminine person. Oh God. This is so much easier when you have a real rubber band. Okay. So, well, it pretty much just looks like a bow, like this. You have 2 holes. I give up on actually doing it. This isn't a real rubber band. I wish I had a real one. But there you go. So we played this game and I memorized how to get the masculine results. Still to this day, I can do it. And I thought I was cis. There's also this weird thing that happens a lot when you're trans, but you don't know you're trans. Where, like, you think you're just, like, a super feminist and fighting for, like, men and women to be given equal opportunities. But then you find out it's just you trying to prove that you're a man. Like, I had this teacher who was really religious, and she would only let men carry things because they were built with strong shoulders. So we had these little wooden crates that we had to do presentations standing on top of. So we had like a ton of these moved into the gym, and then we had to move them back into the classroom. And she was like, only the men can do this because they're the strong ones. But I, even though I was super weak and still am, I know I'm weak. I knew I had to take these flippin' crates back to prove that I was manly. So I put like the crate on the floor and then pushed it the whole way. And mind you, the gym was quite far. Our school was very like, it was built like a maze. So it's a long way back. But I pushed it all the way there because I was too weak to carry it. But I did it. By the time 6th grade rolled around, I knew what being trans was. I don't remember how I learned it, but I knew. And this year is when I made my OC Clyde. And if you want to know more about them, go watch the video that I hopefully will put in the iCard. But this is where you can kind of tell how I was really feeling at the time, but there's a lot of confusion going on and denial. So, like, I didn't know I was feeling this way, but it's really cool to see, like, my art show, I guess my unconscious wants and desires. Also, the end of 6th grade was actually the first time I, like, publicly referenced being bisexual. We had this little picnic for the end of the year, and here, like, I don't know, part of it was not seeing a lot of these people again, and, like, by that point we'd be in middle school, and also I was, like, much more comfortable with my identity. So, like, I kind of referenced the fact of having a girlfriend at the time and being bisexual. And, like, you know, these were elementary schoolers, so the reactions were interesting. A lot of people didn't care, but then someone heard me use she, her pronouns in reference to someone I was dating. And she's just like, what? And she gave me the strangest face. Because, you know, like, some of those kids don't even know what being gay is at this point. Then summer rolled around, and I had a friend online who came out as gender fluid. And at the time, I'd never heard of that before, or any sort of non-binary identities. I knew there's male and female, and I knew you could be transgender, but I didn't know there were, like, identities outside of those two. So I assumed that gender fluid meant just being in between male and female. And so, not looking up what it actually meant, I started identifying as gender fluid for a while. Which, if you're gonna identify as It's something. Go look it up, people. And then I found out that gender fluid meant that, like, your gender changes. It's fluid. Maybe I should have thought about the name for like 2 seconds. And then I did more research and learned what being non-binary was, and so I started identifying as that. So when school came around the next year, I was like pretty set in my identity, but I wasn't out to anyone really. So I didn't push any pronouns, anything like that. I did like make jokes with some of my friends about being non-binary. Like, just in passing I would mention it. There was one class where I like actually came out to, because we're doing some icebreakers, and I didn't technically say any gender or anything that I identified as, but I just said I use they them pronouns. No one that whole year, even once, said a they or a them to refer to me. It was she, her the whole year. At this time, I was also going by pansexual as my label for my sexuality, since, my horizons had been broadened when it came to different identities, and I just felt like that fit me more than bisexual. But I also didn't want, like, straight men coming after me, I guess, or developing feelings for me. So I decided I would just say I was a lesbian to people so they wouldn't, like, ever think about me that way. Spoiler alert, that didn't work at all. I still had multiple men, like, pursue me. A lot of them who knew I was a lesbian and continued to push it. I was also bullied a lot this time for various things I identified as, like, there are these jerks who eventually went to jail too. But there were these guys at my lunch table who would make fun of me for being trans. And then there are a ton of guys who would, like, kind of harass me for being a lesbian. Looking back on it, it's really concerning. Like, there would be, I don't know how to say this without YouTube hating me, but they would threaten to do things to me a lot, which, oh my god, how was I not more concerned at the time? But honestly, even though I was, like, actively identifying as a lesbian, I didn't like people viewing me as female. At the start, I thought would be fine, that I was more feminine in my gender, and, like, it's fine if people saw me that way. But as time went on, I really didn't like it, and it was affecting me more and more. And then I started to think I might just be a guy, not non-binary, just a trans man. So I started identifying as that. And then the end of the year rolled around, and during yearbook signings, I made these sticky notes, and I'd take my highlighters and color on the trans flag and write I was trans the whole time on them, and signed them with my preferred name and gave those to people. And that's how I ended the year. So by next year, as you could tell probably from that whole stunt, I really didn't want to be in the closet anymore. It was really painful. So I knew if I wanted to, like, actually be out and have people call me by my preferred name and stuff, then I'd have to come out to my parents. So that summer, I wrote a letter hoping that by the time school rolled around, that my parents would be okay with it. So I put a letter under their door in the middle of the night so they wouldn't immediately confront me about it and they had time to process it. And then my dad kind of had a little chat with me and then never brought it up again. And my mom just never talked to me about it. And after that, things at home were really bad for a while. I don't want to go too into it because, once again, I want this video to be happy and not trauma dumping. But yeah, things didn't go that great. And by the time school came around, they were not down for me to be openly trans at school. So I couldn't be out, but, like, all my friends knew, and most of the people who even vaguely knew me knew. as the school year was winding down, a lot of my friends just started calling me by my preferred name too. And I was still bullied about it, even more now that it was more obvious to people. Then, hey, COVID hit. What a fun thing that happened. Am I right, guys? During this time, my parents started warming up to it. It was a real slow transition, like excruciatingly slow. I can't even say now they're all the way there, but it's much better. And then the next school year, they're at the point where they wouldn't throw a fit if I use my preferred name, even though they weren't using it. So just like email my teachers and change my Zoom name, because it was really easy for no one to question anything. Now it's harder because teachers see me, and even though I've told them my gender and pronouns, they're so stuck in like putting people into certain genders, I guess. I don't know, they're really bad at like having the thought that I am not a female, so they misgender me all the time. Now, overall, I go by biromantic because for a while no one knew what pansexual was, so I just said bi. But now people know what pansexual is. I just like keep flip-flopping between sexualities at like the wrong times, I guess. But I've been going as bi for a while, so I'm just sticking with it. My gender's kind of unlabeled. What I usually say is on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being female and 5 being male, I'm at about a 4. But I don't think you can like write that on a survey for your gender. So I guess the best word to put it, or like the best way to describe it, is trans-masc non-binary. I'm also still pre-T, haven't legally changed my name. This is what I mean when I'm like, parents aren't all the way there. They're not really into me medically transitioning, or at least being a part of that process. And they're quite slow when it comes to other changes that would help. Oh, and then I forgot the other big identity confusion that happened in my life, and that's my sexuality. So for a while I figured I was demi, or just like late to the party, and then I realized I was most definitely ace. So yeah, I hope that clarifies some things. Please, for those of you who have watched this video at least, don't call me a girl in the comments. That is like 75% of the reason I'm making this video, because I'd like go through the comments on some videos and just sadness, and I want to have a fun comment section. But yeah, if any of you want to share your journey, then comment down below. Also, if you like this style of video, more talking and story time rather than talking about art, then let me know by liking the video and subscribing. Also, you can follow my social media in the description below to tell me that as well. And I will see you all next